Good morning class. Welcome to yet another session of political science. As you all know that we were discussing about the chapter justice or social justice. In our previous classes we had discussed about how to promote justice and how to make decisions under the veil of ignorance, which was a concept given by John Rawls. To continue our debate or discussion furthermore, let us try to understand that what is the concept of pursuing social justice. Just talking about any concept is not sufficient. The implication of that concept is also very important. When we talk about vague terms like equality, like freedom, like social justice, then we have to look into the implications of these concepts by the government and its agencies. Why? Because mere discussion is not going to help. The implication till the grassroots level is the very basis for the success of any governmental policy. Whether that is maintaining equality in the society, whether that is granting freedom of expression to the citizens, or whether that is maintaining social justice in a democratic system. So what to be done? Various methods of calculating the basic needs of people have been devised by different governments from time to time, by international organizations also. Specifically, I would like to mention here the organization, the agency of UNO, that is World Health Organization, and they have come up with the interpretation that just being a human being should ensure various facilities to be provided to that particular person, whether he is a citizen of South Africa, whether that person is a citizen of Niger, whether that person is a citizen of a country like India, or a person who is a citizen of USA. So just being a human being, just being a citizen, governments should ensure some basic facilities, basic amenities for their people. Now, these facilities should be very basic in nature. For example, providing food, providing shelter, providing education, providing security from natural hazards in the time of natural hazards, and when there are external aggressions. So these things should be looked on to. Other than this, there is another debate uh, whether the government should encourage a free market policy or the state intervention should be entertained. So my dear students, when we talk about the concept of free market, it is such a system where the individual is given priority, where the capitalistic system is being followed. One who owns the surplus or one who invests the capital is the one entitled to have the maximum profit or benefit. But when we talk about the concept of state intervention, then we talk about a welfare state where the state ensures that a minimum standard of living is being maintained for its citizens, where they are allowed to have proper food, proper shelter, proper education, proper rights, whether they are political rights from casting vote to contesting in the elections, or whether they are rights of freedom or freedom of expression, or the rights to move from one part of the country to another part of the country, or that is to maintain equality, or if that is to have certain securities from the intervention of the government machinery. So all this becomes the responsibility when the state starts intervening. So you can see from the topic over here that there has always been a debate between political thinkers, the policy makers, that should we have a system of free market where the individual are free to own property and to enter into contracts and agreements with others regarding prices, regarding wages and profits, and they can also compete with each other to gain the greatest amount of benefits. On the other hand, there is a debate that no, this system is not very good. Why? Because if we allow a total free market economy, then what will happen? It would result into the capitalistic clutches where the person who is putting the capital or investing the capital would try to make more and more profit, neglecting the rights and benefits of others who are working for them. So there are supporters of state intervention, and they claim that states could step in to ensure a basic minimum standard of living to for all its citizens. Though sometimes the services provided by states are not that good in quality. For example, if you look into the government schools and you look into the private sector schools, you will find that parents are eager to get their students, to get their ward admitted in a private institution rather than going for a government school. Now, why is that so? That is because of the standard of education maintained over there, the services provided there, the infrastructure of the building. So, what makes them attract towards the towards the private sector schools is that here the infrastructure, the building of the school is nice. The teachers are highly educated, and moreover, they work in a very serious manner for the training of their ward. Moreover, whatever other facilities you can think of, those facilities are also being provided to the students in comparison to the government schools. So, this is one example. Another example, if you have to take a seriously ill person in your house to a hospital, then the first priority is a private hospital. Though it is a shame that we all know that the medical expense would be way rather high there, but still we prefer to go to a private hospital because we know that the attention that the patient requires would be provided then and there as you step in a private hospital. In comparison, the government hospital doctors are more experienced, more qualified, more handy to such situations, but there is no assurity that once you step in the hospital, that doctor would be free or your patient would be given utmost priority at that span of time when he needs it. So it cannot be assured, though it is the duty of the doctors and that is being looked into. So my point here is that there is a difference between the running of government institutions and the running of private institutions, and the basic difference here is that of services, that of attention, and of course prices of these services definitely matter. So what is all this politics about? A political system has a responsibility to negotiate between the disagreements and the agreements between two concepts. For example, here we are debating about free market versus the state intervention, and it is a responsibility of our political leaders to ensure that in certain areas where state cannot provide good services, in those areas the private sector should be allowed, and where they see that private sector is competing too much and overlooking the rights and facilities of the common citizens, in those spheres the government institutions or agencies should intervene. So this much for today. Please go through the pages of your book. When we talk about this concept, here it becomes very essential. It becomes quite essential to mention the recommendation given by B.R. Ambedkar. I would like to quote him here. A just society is that society in which ascending sense of reverence and descending sense of competent is dissolved into the creation of a compassionate society. So, until and unless we remove our differences, we keep them aside, we cannot have a good system working for the betterment of all. Thank you